By the way, this is totally an aside, but they're working on legislation right now that everybody's gonna have to do this, even though we're doing it across the state.
Yeah.
It's not technically required right now. We do, we're kind of ahead of the curve a little bit. That's good. But, they're actually working on legislation for that. All right. We'll call the Grant County Board of Commissioners to order. Noting all three members are present. Our auditor is with us as well. And recording secretary. Would invite you to stand. We're going to ask that Reverend Jason Camry come join us. He also serves as a member of our detention facilities over for the sheriff's department. I believe he's working toward director, but we're going to ask you to lead us in prayer, and then I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, as we come before you today, we are thankful that we can come to you in a free country, a country of elected representatives and ones that have been appointed to help guide and direct our county. So we pray for wisdom today. We ask that you would bless everyone here, that you would allow us to do the business of the people fair and equitable, and that it would reflect our faith in you. Lord, bless our time today. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Thank you, Jason. If you folks cannot hear me, please just remind me that I'm still a little bit weak after this stuff that I've gone through last week, but I'm doing well. And we will move right to our current claims minutes payroll. We've got 1, 2, 3 groups of pre-approvals that I think we could probably handle in one batch. So we'll start here with January 23rd to 2023. Our first general invoice edit in the amount of $205,905.94. The other batch was $130,231.64. And the highway batch at $4,940.32 for a grand total $341,077.90. That was a group of pre-approvals. Then a single pre-approval for the highway department, Wisconsin surplus in the amount of $45,385. That was pre-approval given on the 18th of January. And on the 30th of January, the general batch in the amount of $55,412.37. Other batch in the amount of $45,784.85. Highway batch in the amount of $7,581.20 for a grand total of that group of $108,778.42. Those were the invoice edit reports that we pre-approved over the last few weeks. So with motion to ratify pre-approvals, we would move forward.
Motion to ratify.
Second. Motion, Mr. Wright, to ratify those pre-approvals as presented. Second, Mr. Stewart. Any questions on those? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye. 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 It is ratified. Our invoice edit reports for today, the 6th of February, general invoice batch, $330,148.09. Other batch, $107,966.50. Highway batch, $27,537.24 for a grand total of $465,778.24. $651.83. We did already discuss a few questions on those. Any other discussion? If not, we just need a motion to approve those expenses.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart, second, Mr. Wright. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried. We have two payrolls. Payroll number 2, that was, formal pre-approval on January the 17th. Gross amount of $554,299.12. Payroll number 3 was a pre-approval on January 31st. Gross amount of $595,200.51. Those have been paid out, and I have pre-approved one and Mr. Wright pre-approved one. So we would need a motion to ratify those pre-approvals.
Make a motion to ratify those two, payroll 2 and payroll 3.
I second the motion.
Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye. It is ratified. Thank you, gentlemen. And we didn't finish up any more minutes yet, have we? No. Okay, I'm still holding 2. I apologize. All right, we will move to we have a monthly report from the clerk of courts. And that is month ending December 31st, 2022. We just received those, gentlemen, so we would need a motion to receive.
I'll make a motion that we receive the monthly report from the clerk of the circuit court.
I second that motion.
Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart, to receive the December 22 report. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. It is carried. All right, we will move across the room. Elected officials, special boards, committees, updates. Start with our auditor. Anything from the auditor's office? Nothing? You want to go ahead now, Mr. EMA Director?
Sure. Good morning.
Morning.
So we did have an EOC briefing this morning. Things progressing actually rather well with COVID. Numbers seem to be in a steady decline. Hospital reports that they're doing quite well too, as far as staff and census goes over there. I would like to bring up Mr. Rob Kiesling. He is my representative from Indiana Michigan Electric Power. So one of the things that Rob does for the county is at any inkling that we might have an issue that either he sees or I see, or we get some notification of, Rob's always quick to reach out and let us know that they're on the scene, will be on the scene, they're watching it, and that gives me a lot of opportunity to start preparing, making things happen. And so we've spent quite a bit of time sometimes out in the middle of stuff that's going on, but he does a vital job in helping us keep the power on. So I appreciate him greatly for that. I want to recognize him for that. But we also come bearing other news this morning. In the EOC, we keep a cache of radios, 800 megahertz radios, so that in the event that the EOC gets activated, partially, wholly, however that happens, communications with our ESFs, the emergency support functions, that's fire, police, EMS, all kinds of other organizations, shelters, those kind of things. We really need to communicate back and forth with them. Our current radios are nearing 20 years old, and with the new system coming online, they will basically be outdated and not useful to us. So I mentioned that, Kevin Hicks actually mentioned that to Rob here a couple of months ago, and he quickly jumped on that. So I come bearing news today that the AEP Foundation has made a donation to Grant County in the amount of $29,881 for the purchase of 800 megahertz radios for the EOC. So we want to publicly thank Mr. Keesing and the AEP Foundation for that.
Worked great.
So that's money that the county will not have to spend on a much needed piece of equipment, pieces of equipment. We'll be able to buy about 15 radios with that.
I think I see the president of the council smiling back there.
I was glad you said it. Absolutely. We'll make the auditor smile and we'll pass it very nicely. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, Rob, thank you for your investment in our community. And just a real quick question. I know the last real cold snap that we had, we received an email that asked us to kind of ask our constituents to kind of not use consumption as much because of the tax on the grid. Can you elaborate on that at all?
So we're part of a regional transmission
Yeah.
system that is multiple utilities, including Chicago, part of Indiana, this part of Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, DC, and Virginia. It's about 11 states are included in that. And through the size of the extreme cold weather, there was a considerable amount of load on the system that we're trying to stay ahead of our load forecast. And so collectively, throughout all of our customers, all of our communities, and all the utilities did a phenomenal job because we did not have to resort to no power was shut off. There were other parts of the country that we're aware of that became more than the grid could handle. It was more about the amount of generation available, the amount of actual power being put into the grid. And so through conservation efforts, somebody may have set their thermostat from 74 degrees to 72 down to 72 and stay reasonably comfortable. And so we're grateful for the public for their positive response to that because collectively we're able to avoid any sort of generation related outages. It's just a pretty cold, as we all know, and unprecedented cold in the size of the actual front posed some unique challenges for all utilities from here to the East Coast.
Thank you.
Yeah, that actually occurred on Christmas Eve morning. I think we made contact, so there again, 24/7, they're there for us, holiday weekends, we appreciate it.
Well, that openness, I think, not only to our EMAs, but then to get it out to the public, I think that helped to avoid a potential crisis. So thanks for that leadership.
Happy to help. Glad to work with Bob.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, other elected officials in the room? I do see our president. Any updates you want to bring us, Shane, from the council? All right. Yeah. Other department heads, elected officials, special committee reports. Right, we'll go IT. Marcus is still hiding behind his,
Yeah, but I'm still in the director's seat, so I don't have anything for today.
but I do have a question for you.
Okay, all right, I'm happy to answer.
Where are we in the switch over to the .gov situation?
Like I said, it's still a work in progress. They gave me more paperwork and stuff I have to fill out for part of the website stuff and that. Like I said, it's moving. Not as fast as I'd like, but it's something we are working on now.
Any other questions on that, gentlemen? Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And our highway superintendent is marching toward the podium as we speak.
Good morning.
Wonder,
The first thing I was gonna do is open the bids for the stone and fuel for 2023. The first one is from Rock Creek Stone Quarry. And I'll just kind of go over the most used product that we use, probably Levin Stone. It's $13.35 a ton. And then
Said that was number
Levinstone.
11 stone.
Yeah. Next company be IMI. Levinstone from IMI, Oswego, Indiana, would be $15.70 per ton. So I'd like to take these back for review, and then it's all right, I'll bring them back to the next meeting with my recommendation.
So we'll take stone bids under advisement. We'll bring something back next time.
And then the only fuel bid I believe we received is from Dawson's Oil here in Marion. And for road diesel is $3.85. And gasoline is $2.68 a gallon. And if we do accept their bid, as usual, we just call them every time we need fuel and see what the price is that day, so. Really isn't set in stone yet, so. I'd like to take this back for recommendation at the next meeting, if that's all right.
Very good.
Bringing you up to date on some other things. We did apply for community crossing grant money for Bridge 16, which is up on EOOW and north of 600 North in the county for total replacement. And we also applied for some paving projects, 38th Street from River Bridge to 400 East, and then Northway Road from 38th Street into Gas City. We worked coordinated with Gas City to put their portion of that roadway on the list to apply for the grant money too. So as usual, it'll probably be May, I'd say, before we find out if we were awarded that money or not. So
I want to rub the wrong way here, but why did we just go to 400 instead of going all the way out to 600? Because it seemed like we had gone from 600 back west on 38th Street.
well, a lot of it was just the money, because you can only apply for $1
So
million.
much.
So
Okay.
that's, we kind of used the paving side of it. We put the bridge in as our first, what we'd like to do first, then we put the paving in second.
Okay.
So with a request of money that we're asking for the bridge and what's left over, that's about all we could ask for right now. So
Okay.
if we don't get it the first round, we can always apply again with the second round. So
Is that second round in 2023?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, usually the 1st of July, but you usually don't get notified till 1st of November. So it'd actually probably be 2024 before it got completed. So I did go, middle of January to apply for the bridge, here in Marion. Street Bridge, I did apply for that. No idea really when the state will get back with us if we was awarded it or not, but like I said, that was, the 19th, I believe, so applied for that. We did help the area plan move a structure in Jonesboro, and we got another one in Sweetser. We're working with them on getting that removed, unsafe structure, so we're working on that with them. The bridge here in Marion on 10th Street, Bridge 789, they started on that last Monday. I was there Wednesday. They pretty much got the old wall out, so starting the process of getting ready to dry pilings, et cetera. So working on that. Talked to the gentleman from Blackford County on the wind farm, and he's supposed to send me an updated agreement on road usage and also about having a consulting firm do the inspection on it, because it wasn't in there about that. They've been wanting to build 2 turbines that are basically the way the map looked from our 500 south up to 300 south, they want to use that section of the East County line to bring those turbines and stone and material in. So it's basically only about 2.5 mile stretch that they'll be using, but we'll try to get an agreement together. Probably when I get the new version, I'll just email it to all you and to Kyle to let him review and see if there's other things that need to be added or not. So.
Sounds good.
And then I talked to the state. They're wanting to do an unofficial detour on State Road 37 from State Road 26 to State Road 9. I guess they're going to do full depth repaving or something. She was supposed to have the paperwork to me, but she was not able to get it today. So she said she'd have it to me for the next meeting. So we'll look at that when it does come. And then the only other thing I had was I got 2 prices on doing the little electric work, putting our meter base and some temporary electric in our building that we're building. I got a price from Carl Berman Electric for $8,000. And I also got a price from Rex Collins for $6,390. I'd like to recommend we use Rex Collins for that, if that's all right, to get that. Like I said, the meter base and the panel will be permanent, but the lights and stuff's gonna be temporary in case we put metal in it. I don't wanna put it all up and have to take it all back down, so.
Is that with your consent to go with that lower bid? All right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay. There. That's all I have unless you gentlemen have anything.
Our inventory's still good on salt, just in case we have another storm show up.
Yeah, I went ahead and got like 200 ton in last week just to fill it back up a little bit, so we'll see what we do from there, so.
I don't know about these gentlemen, but I did, for the most part, people always have complaints, but I had heard more, thank yous for the county highway and keeping the roads, open as possible. So thank you again during that storm we had.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, we currently have nothing scheduled under old business. We'll move to new business unless you gentlemen have items under old business. Good. Okay. First up, Greg Lane, IMG, we have a proposal for liability renewal, excuse me. Let's see him back here. Greg, did you drive in from Indy area this morning?
I did.
I heard on a Zoom meeting this morning that it was 72 degrees down in southern Grant County, so it must be about 80 degrees down in
Indy,
Indy.
sunny.
Is that good?
Hopefully that's enough. Okay. Everybody got it? Okay. Justin, Nancy and I met last week to go over the specifics of the policies, exposures, coverages, and Justin asked like a kind of a high level overview of what we went over. We did confirm all the exposures. This has been interesting here. We've had some claims activity. So it was a little bit of a challenge to try to get the best pricing we could on the renewal. I do want to point out on page, if it's right in the page 20 of 42, which is one of the proposal pages. The cyber coverage this year, I know last year, Mark, we talked about, if you recall, the multi-factor. You guys did get that implemented. As such, the best carrier that we couldn't get to last year, we were able to, and we were able to save some money. So CFC is the new carrier. They were about 4,000 less than the incumbent, but the coverages are a lot better. But we had to have the MF multi-factor, which again, kudos to you for getting that done. So. And this cyber continues to be a challenge. These policies change yearly, and as such, the pricing has changed yearly and the coverages. So it is ever changing. CFC is probably the best company right now, just because they have some definition issues with regards to when you trick people and you steal via computer, they have some, they'll cover beyond the money, they'll cover actually item or product if somebody's tricked out of sending information. We'll go back a little bit further, kind of on the work comp. And Nancy wanted me to, I did go back, so work comp on page 32 of 42. Your experience mod from your claims history did go up 23 points. And I don't know if you're familiar with how the workers' comp mod works here in the state of Indiana, but basically your insurance carrier every year submits data. They're going to submit payrolls and claims information at the end of each year. They do a look back 4 years, but they never count the immediate year. So you're looking back the 4th year back, the 3rd year back, and the 2nd year back are what goes into that mod. Ideally, we want you below 1. You guys have creeped over, you're at 1.13. So you've had claims. And as such, that's the one that I can't control that. The Indiana Compensation Rating Bureau issues to that. So that was a little bit of a challenge that we worked with IPEP. They did come back, Justin, and change some pricing from last week. The payrolls are up 2.7%. And I think, Justin, you mentioned they would be going up.
Additionally, yes.
Right. Okay. We'll go back a couple of pages. I just wanted to bring this up again. I know Michelle's brought this up on your benefits, but IPEP does include that additional life insurance just because you're insured with them. Every employee in the county gets an extra benefit. We brought that up last year. All right, on the next page is your claims history. At the very top is the work comp, and on the bottom is Liberty Mutual. So last 3 years we've had with Liberty of 518,000 in claims. The total for IPEP is probably close to $500,000.
What page are you on?
37 of 42 on the bottom. What I did was I took the 42 pages and just pulled the important ones and hit the highlights. And I will get this, I will send you the Word document as well. We'll go back to the page 38 of 42. This is the premium page. If you look at the column 2022 to 23, Liberty Mutual and Liberty Mutual 23-24. We did have Travelers. I talked to them this year. They did give us some pricing. They were higher than Liberty, as they were in the prior years as well. So Liberty is up on the pricing. A lot of that's due to claims as well as IPEP. They did give me some options on deductibles. So that was the bigger question of today is, would you, currently you have a $10,000 deductible on your sexual abuse and molestation coverage, your law enforcement, and your employment practices liability. The price at those higher deductibles is to the right.
So as I'm looking at this, when it goes down to law enforcement or the umbrella, it looks like the 25,000.
Yes.
Okay.
I will tell you that if you look at your claims history, if we went to the higher deductible on the public officials liability, that would probably be just fine. We've not had, all 3 of those lines you don't have coverage, but we do have some activity on the other 2. Now, would you come out ahead? I think on the law enforcement, you would actually come out ahead, even though you've had a couple of claims. And the employment practices liability, that's sort of mixed on that. It's debatable on that.
And so the deductible is our deductible
Yeah,
or the
your-
employee's?
It's your deductible.
Our deductible,
Yeah.
okay.
And it's at 10,000 has been the deductible. Again, to go to 25,000, that is the premium savings. So if we want the lowest dollar, then that would be to bump all three. If you, probably the bigger, in my opinion, my recommendation would be to do at least two, the public officials and the law enforcement, and potentially leave the employment practices liability as is.
Is that something we decide today, or is that something?
We have until the 15th
This month for
of this month, yes.
So when's our next meeting? Just
21st.
what to,
Okay.
Do you think that the bumping the two, keeping the one the same makes sense to me, but you guys crunch numbers and ask any questions that you want to over the next few days. and we can-
That'd be great. Actually, that would be perfect. I'll have Justin give me contact information. I'd love to do that. If you guys have the time to do that, that'd be great.
I mean, especially for being new to
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
scene and things, I would feel better about knowing exactly how that stacks up.
Yeah.
Taking a look at and comparing what we had last year, maybe to the year before.
Yeah, I'll do an entire look back because you guys were self-insured on the work comp
Okay.
for years. And I did do a comparison for Nancy, and I mean, it's a big difference. Nancy did a good job of pushing to get back into the guaranteed cost market. So when we went away from the self-insurance and the work comp, we've saved a bunch of money. And I can illustrate that and show it to you.
So would we have to have a special meeting before the 15th in order to pass this or not? No,
Yeah,
we could do it at our next meeting.
yes.
You could give me pre-approval ahead of time. And we could ratify it at the next session.
We can do that.
Okay.
And you will get me contact and I'll get everybody. Perfect. That'd be great.
Just like to understand it a little bit better.
And again, there's not like a perfect answer on the deductibles. It is, but I'll give you the data and we can look at it. My opinion is the two would be a nice savings. The other one, maybe not.
We don't have anybody in the sheriff's department, but when we have criminal, or we have, I would say, tort claims, we have a $25,000 deductible on some of that stuff. So I think that makes sense for us to bump it from the 10 to the 20 across the board. One partners.
Okay. Well, like I said, after the meeting, you'll send me the contact.
Yep.
So, thank you. Like I said, that's awesome. Oh, I did want to, like I said, I just want to make a point that since Justin's been involved and Nancy together, he's done an outstanding job of getting rid of some, going through assets and making sure to get rid of it, make sure they're still there. So Justin's done great as far as helping us out.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you very much.
We took number 2 off, Judd. Jason's no longer in the room. Chris Cunningham.
Morning.
Morning.
So, couple items for you today, actually 3 and 4, but, first item, under number 3 is the approval of the Community Corrections Annual Report. And, as Commissioner Bardsley knows, this is a function of the Community Corrections Advisory Board, and then the commissioners oversee the contractual obligations of the grant. And one of those is providing annual report. So that's why we're here today. Justin was kind enough to make sure that you guys had copies of this document. The face sheet of the document really covers the basics of our programming for community corrections, the reentry court and jail treatment. So all the funding documents and items are there. Total numbers served. There's also attachments that come with that we provide to the state. Judge Spitzer is going to give probably a pretty thorough report when he does the state of the judiciary here in a couple weeks. But our board met on January 24th, reviewed the report, approved it. And so I'll answer any questions you might have specifically about it. There's a lot of data that's in there. Probably some basic information that might, criminal code reform happened in 2015. And with that was a charge for community corrections to look at diverting individuals from the Department of Corrections even more than what was originally charged with us. So in 2015, we sent 239 people to the Department of Corrections. In calendar year 22, we sent 35. You'll see a reflection of 574 people served, and that's a direct correlation to the reduction that we see there in those that are sent to the Department of Corrections. Consequently, if you look at the reverse side of that, and Judge Spitzer, I'm sure will cover it more, is that our target population are level 6 felons, and that population has dropped just a little bit from what it used to be. So our filings have been historically up, but they're stable more this year. But I'm coming on 39 years now, commissioners, and I've never seen it that low like that, send 35 people. So we did a little calculation, so our budget you see there is a little over 1.3 million in grant dollars, and that's not including our committed project income. But you look at the amount of savings to the Department of Corrections, and it's about 4.8 million that they save. And we use the figure that they provide on the number of costs per day. So happy to answer any questions, you might have. Some people, like myself, I love to look at this data and review it and see if it makes a difference. Other people are like, oh dear God, don't give me another data figure. I can't hack it. Still the unknown of what to be is the impact that COVID had on our justice system. And, is this, as we look 2 or 3 years down the line, did that have a lot to do with it? The filings were up or stable, but at the same time, were those cases held back that might have, sent more people, to the Department of Corrections? I really can't ascertain that yet, but we will hopefully in the next couple of years. But like I said, I've never seen it. I thought the year before we were, in the 40s, and I thought I'll never see it that low again. And here we are at 35. So answer any questions you might have. Really, this is the board's approved it. You as the commissioners approved the annual report. I submitted to DOC. It's a requirement that I have under Indiana Code 11-12. So
I do have a physical copy of the gentleman. I'd like to have it. Otherwise, it was sent PDF a week ago.
Yep.
Do we need to ratify the report and approve the report as well, or
Yeah,
accept
just
the report?
accept the report and its submission to the Department of Corrections.
Mr. President, I would move that we accept the report presented.
I second that. Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart. And I would say, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, with our thanks, because it's unbelievable. Most of our communities do not understand the pressure and impact that you folks have dealt with over the last 2 years. Business has been very focused right in front of many families, just living in their own new little satellited world during COVID. And you still had to put up with the same crimes that were going on with the same population or a growing population. And you all have done well to keep our county stable, and we appreciate that.
Well, thanks, Mark. And Melissa Stevenson came in as our director of court services. Maybe she was there maybe a month and COVID hit. And so she's done a yeoman's job of keeping us all, fixed together. And, the beauty of our county, and a lot of people find it hard to understand, is that we all work together. And there's not, when you go to other counties, there are divisions and stuff that happen, but for the most part, we work really well together, which, comes out in, all the programming and things that we have here. So, so many things we're hurt financially on, but the collaboration and cooperation that exists in our county it's really second to none. And I go to other counties to consult or talk to them about how to improve what they do, and it's the culture that exists here. So, but we thank you for that.
Good. I would also say I'm looking forward to Judge Spitzer's report to the council this month. I think folks will be encouraged, in some ways, surprised. And we got some challenges, especially with opioid projects in the future. So looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we can, with that opioid settlement dollars, we can make a greater impact on addiction that's just ravaging our community. So I'm hoping that will help as well.
The questions? Do you have an appointment?
Yes, actually, we have two appointments to recommend to you to the, and for new commissioner here, just to, so the Community Corrections Advisory Board is made up of a collaboration of all different system and community impactors, from the courts, from law enforcement, from prosecution, and from public defenders, as well as many community members. And so they fill a role per statute. And so way back when this was done in 1981 to establish these guidelines, they really tried to get people who represented a certain segment of the community to participate on the board. So two appointments for you today. One is an educational administrator position. It's already currently filled, and we need to renew that membership, and that's for Alex Husky, who is the director out at Ivy Tech. The other one is our chief public defender position, and that's Bruce Elliott. And those are appointments based upon the positions that they have, but they still need to be approved by the commissioners. So answer any questions you might have.
Do you, just a off the cuff type thing, how's attendance? You got a good attendance?
Actually, we have pretty good attendance.
Okay,
A lot of that is related to, we do it over the lunch hour. So that usually gives people who, particularly elected officials,
Okay.
and many of the community members, gives them a chance to be able to be there. There's about 22 people who are on the board, and we're anywhere from 12 to 17 members that attend. They do have the ability, Steve, to be able to appoint someone to attend that meeting for them. So for instance, Commissioner Barsley has that appointment. If he sees something that's coming up on his schedule and he says to one of you, look, can one of you attend? He'll send me an email, and that designates them there for that specific meeting to be able to vote. So that does help with attendance.
Technically 100% for the year, right?
Yes.
For the year.
Yeah, for the year. Yeah. For the year. And that, but there's a section of those that are commissioners' appointments, and then a section of those that are by the virtue of their elected office. So the prosecutor will always, be on there by the virtue of his elected office. So, but we really have, since we have merged that with the local coordinating council, with local JRAC, there's been a lot more attendance. And obviously with Commissioner Barsley being involved, we have representatives from the county council. So we have several work groups that are working really hard too right now too. So
Good. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anything else? Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Vince, you're up next, sir.
Morning.
Morning.
I had 3 quotes here for generator PNs. It's time to renew them. The first one I have here is for the jail generator. Did you give them a copy yet? Yes, they have copies. And the total on that would be $12,850. That is a 3-year plan. That's what we've done in the past. The unit number on that is C27.
Which quote are you on?
73.
Okay.
David.
Yes. That was for the jail proper,
Correct.
that particular one. I'm making a quick assessment with the three that quotes that we have in front of us. Do we get any type of discount for bundling these, or do they consider them separate?
Yes, we do get a discount for bundling. I'll have to get with them to find out for sure. That's why we went with the 3-year plan last year.
Okay.
Originally, it was a 1-year plan, and we saved a few thousand by doing it for 3 years.
So I guess my follow-up question is, will we still have 3 separate items to sign, or will there just be one kind of a master?
From my experience in the past, you signed 3 separate. It was actually 2, but we're bringing the central dispatch generator into the rotation. And then next year, we'll have to bring the 3 tower sites in.
So we have to do them per location.
Correct.
Okay.
Because they're all different generators, different serial numbers.
So are you bringing this to us as information, or are you asking for us to go ahead and act on this today?
No, I'm asking you to go ahead and act on it today. Then I have 2 others here if you want me to explain the pricing on those. The 44072, that is the juvenile detention center generator. That is a 3-year quote as well.
And that services, the probation
Correct.
department.
The whole building. That is $12,025.
And you said 73 was for what again?
That's for the jail and the complex. Yep.
And 74 would be for the dispatch center.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Like I said, the other 3 generators at the tower sites, I believe they are under warranty until June or July. So I don't see any reason to put them in the fall PMs. They should be fine until next year, and then just bring them into the rotation with the fall PMs for the other 3 that we're doing today.
What's your pleasure on this, gentlemen? Are you ready and comfortable to move forward with those 3 quotes?
Is this the only company that quoted, or this is who we use?
Yeah, this is who we've been using for quite a few years.
I'm okay going forward, but maybe the next time around, maybe we get some RFPs for another company or 2 just to see where we're at next time around.
Do that?
Again, I agree with Mr. Stewart on that point. Is this the company that actually constructed, built, installed?
Correct.
So this is the people that,
They know it inside.
Yes.
they know the units inside out.
Correct.
It's not just a company that's
Right.
surfacing.
Okay.
Gotcha. This.
And they do a load bank test every year too. They'll basically just kill everything in the building and run off generator for, I think it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just to check numbers.
But I think we do incorporate that into this concept for this next year. As we're looking at 24, that we do make sure that we are still getting the biggest bang for our buck when it comes to our agreement.
And do you have any idea off the top of your head, last year's quote compared to this year's quote?
It has been up some. I'd have to look back in my records.
And it makes sense. I mean, yeah, everything's went up. I get that and stuff, but it didn't.
For some reason, I want to say it was around 11,000 something last year for this one in the juvenile center.
So it's $1,000.
Yeah, roughly. I'd have to, like I said, look at it when it comes to file.
Chair, entertain a motion. Sure. I would make a motion that we approve quote 44,072, 44,073, and 44,074 for the maintenance on our generators.
I second that motion.
Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Stewart. Any other discussion or questions for Vince?
Are you approving for 1 year or the 3?
Technically, that's a 3-year, was a 3 or a 4-year. So we wouldn't technically have to do our RFP until 3, yeah, to 3 hours.
Coming with that, yeah, 3 years. Yep, add that to mine.
All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Vince. Next up, area plan. Brian, you're ready to jump in there, sir.
Good morning. So, what I'm bringing to you this morning, we have a request by Kathleen Rumpel for a zoning map amendment, rezoning from the current ag zoning to general business zoning through a written agreement. Property location is 7025 Wheeling Pike, Jonesboro, Indiana. We did have a public hearing on the matter through the Area Planning Commission on January 9th. And they sent forth a favorable recommendation with some conditions set to it also, which I'll get to here in a second. The land, the proposed land to be rezoned is currently zoned agricultural. Ms. Rumpel would actually be able to, she wants to run a country market on the property. And as long as she grows it and sells it on the property, she's allowed to do it in agricultural. The reason for the zoning change is because she wants to bring in other vendors to sell from her market. So that's where we have to switch it to general business. If you'll remember, we've had a couple of other farmers come in. The Dillon's Farm and Nelson Farms, who also came in and did written agreements just like this. And they're actually located about 3 miles up the road, so it's kind of the Nelsons did it, then the Dillons did it now. And we are aware that we don't want to be out there writing written agreements for all these, so the Area Plan Commission is going to try to look at land use to where we can allow some of these without having to go through all of these steps. The property itself originally came to Area Plan's attention through code enforcement. The property sits right at the corner of Wheeling Pike and 500 East. And was basically covered with vegetation and debris. We spoke with Ms. Rumpel on the code enforcement end of it. And she has in the last 6 months really got out there and cleared debris, cleared a lot of the trash. There's 2 homes on the property. We had concerns with parking, especially Wheeling Pike at 500 East. She just went out and cleared land and has a large, if you look at the pictures, large parking area now. She plans to continue to clear the land and demolish the second home on the property in the near future, with working with the Area Planning Commission to do so. You guys have the pictures?
I want to see pictures.
No, sir. Bring it in, give me the pictures. Yeah. We have this exhibit A.
I'm looking there, I'm sitting on the ABC. We did have pictures, and there's a little bit more cleanup that we're asking them to do. I remember there's a house that we're asking her to kind of fix up. Is that correct, Brian?
So she just gets through this agreement and then legal.
Wrong.
This was news to us. The last meeting,
Then there was some concern on the parking, to make sure that parking did not block, because that is kind of a busy intersection there. Block, sites. Which I believe we had someone take a look at that too. Did David go out on that as well?
Yeah, well, David was out on the corner. They had actually put some big rocks around that corner. You already take off. David removed the rocks and put reflectors up around the corner out there.
So the area plan is sending us this as a favorable recommendation. I think it should. Now, it's all we've got right now, and look forward to what you guys develop with the concept, but I'm glad that you are doing the extra effort through the agreement to make sure that we're living up to standards and we're showing some equality between this request as well as the others that have come through, so.
And with this, if she owns this property, the property next to it, the property across the road from it, if she would step away from this property, then it would go back to ag. So the general business stays with it.
You all have done some good work. So the recommendation is coming that we would adopt a general ordinance on this, this particular request. What would our ordinance number be? Number 2-2023, if we're interested in doing that, Joe.
There's no questions. I'd make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart, to approve general ordinance number 2-2023 as presented. Second, Mr. Wright. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, excuse me, let's say aye. Aye. Aye, it is carried.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. All right. Is Kevin Nixon on?
He's online.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning. Excuse me. Go right ahead, sir.
So I am asking for permission to renew a 3-year lease on the dispatch chairs that my dispatchers use 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The lease would include 3 high back chairs and 3 low back chairs. And those would be replaced on an annual basis from the wear and tear.
We had discussed the last go round concept of buying versus the leasing. The point is well taken that these are used literally 24 hours a day. And they're sliding back and forth between workstations, up, down. all over the place, different individuals placing different pressure at different places. So I tend, and maybe it's because I used to see the dispatchers a whole lot more, realize that their comfort is a necessity as they're dealing with the aches and pains of everybody else. So
It does appear that there is a $2,851.20 discount on 3 years instead of 1 year, correct? Mr. Hicks?
Yes.
Please.
There's the option to pay out the 8640 for the 3 years, or we can pay it out yearly for the 2851.20.
Oh, I got it.
The 8467.20, that includes a 2% discount, correct?
Correct.
And so for 3 years, we're paying 2851.20, paying that
Right.
once per year for 3 years.
Correct.
Actually, I'm sorry, that includes a 1% discount. I believe that's what we're being presented with, is the,
And I would recommend doing the yearly, simply because there are still some uncertainties with my contractual fund, with the new radio system and the tower maintenance and all that stuff, and how that's going to come out of, and where it's going to come out of. So if we could do the yearly for fiscal purposes, that would be good.
and so these chairs are replaced once a year, correct?
Yes, every March, or I'm sorry, every April.
Assuming they're nice chairs, you've seen them, Mark.
yes,
And I sat in one last night for 12 hours, and they are very appreciated by the staff.
you're doing long shifts and you're dealing with sometimes hurt or frustrated or unruly people. That is your part of your workstation, and
Absolutely. I have no questions or issues with it.
what's your desire on the request for the lease agreement, gentlemen?
As Mr. Hicks is presenting, the yearly payment of 2851.20.
Making that a motion for the game?
I will make that a motion, yes.
I'll second that.
Motion, Mr. Stewart, second, Mr. Wright. Move forward with the annual payment plan. All those in favor would say aye. 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 It is carried. Anything else you want to update us on, Kevin, since you're with us?
Sure. I do have one trainee. She is finishing up stage 2. And last night she was able to dispatch her first fire call. So she is moving through the training system fairly well. We have 3 who have just completed their 4-hour observation. So we will meet with our training officers and evaluate where we go with the next 3 that we've just put through. So hopefully we'll have 3 more new hires within the next couple of weeks.
So where is our manpower right now when it comes to our dispatch situation?
So we are currently down 5 full-time dispatchers. Annie, her last day was January 31st. She went to part-time. So we're down 5 full-time dispatchers. And once we get these other 3 in the system, then we'll just be down to 2, I believe.
And how long does it process? That usually takes a few months, doesn't it, to train?
Yeah, anywhere from 90 to there's 3 to 4 months typically.
Right. Other questions from our central dispatch director?
Not this time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I would also like to let you guys know that I have promoted Marlena Tan from day shift supervisor to the operations manager, and that will become effective February the 13th.
Oh, and when we say operations manager, that includes NCIC IDAX coordinating?
Yes. So she is Annie's replacement.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, Justin on GIS.
So in your packets, I just printed out the email and put that in your packet there. There is a request from Jacobs Engineering Group for GIS data. They are working with ADP and building some transmission lines. So just your standard request. And if approved, I'll have Snyder Geospatial get in touch with them and get the data that they're requesting.
Because Snyder Geospatial holds our information, they do not release it without our permission. And so that it is in our best interest, of course, to assist, but we always, by motion, release that to. So we would need a motion to approve the request.
And this company knows the rules and regulations of that, correct?
Snyder or yes.
I would make a motion to release the regulated drain data.
Second. Motion, Mr. Bryant, second, Mr. Stewart. Any other discussion on that? Really more of a housekeeping issue. Yes, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
All right, aye, it is carried. Excuse me. Not 100%, but I'm working on it. All right, last but not least, in our new business items, we do have a position on the local alcohol beverage board appointment commission that we need to reappoint. Tim Street has been our appointment in the past, and his term has expired. He was asking to be reappointed, and I have no qualms about reappointing him if you gentlemen feel the same way.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Tim Street.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Stewart, second, Mr. Wright. All those in favor would say aye. Aye. Aye, it is carried. We'll get that done. Do you have other business that needs to be introduced at this time?
I do not.
Very good. All right, we're about ready to go to a public comment section of the Board of Commissioners. This time, the public is invited to speak before the board. We will invite you to approach the podium when recognized by the president and state your name and address so that we know that you're where you're at. Comments should be addressed to the board and be limited to items on the agenda. No complaints, accusations, or name calling regarding personnel can be allowed during a public discussion. A time limit of 3 minutes will be given. If more than one person is representing a group, only one spokesman will be heard. It's expected that professionalism and courtesy is displayed at all times during the public comment portion of this meeting. If you would like to address the Board of Commissioners, we ask to have you acknowledge that. You can see that our sheriff snuck in. Nice to see you, Sheriff. Butch was in earlier and he did give us this. Grant County Purdue Extension and Soil Water Conservation District Annual Meeting will be February the 26th. He did ask me to note that, and so I see that he had to leave. Anyone else? We do have a Board of Finance meeting scheduled for immediately following this, and our new elected president, Mr. Stewart, will be chairing that meeting here shortly. Do you have a preference on how soon to start that, sir?
Right after a quick bathroom break.
All right. We will say quarter after.
That'll work, yes, sir.
All right. We will be in recess, and Board of Finance will meet at a quarter after 11. Thank you.
Well,